Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome to the Wilds of Eldraine Arena Open Day 2 draft number 1. And Day 2 is the big one. This is going to be a best of 3 draft event where if we can win 3 or 4 rounds out of 4, we qualify for the Arena Open Day 2 draft number 2, where there are huge cash prizes on the line. So very excited to do some best of 3 draft today in a super competitive environment, so no matter what happens, it should be a pretty fun time, but we are definitely aiming for at least 3 wins, so at the very least, we get to draft another time, get another deck, get another fresh run in there, but hopefully, if things go incredibly well, we might even be competing for potential cash prizes, so very exciting event, always into these Arena Open Day 2 drafts. Without further ado, let's just hop in and see where the cards take us today. Alright, here we are for pack 1, pick 1 with a few pretty powerful options for where to go. I think my favorite is going to be Shrouded Shepherd. It's just nice in any aggressive white deck off of the 2-mana 2/2 body that's buffing another creature, and Cleave Shadows can be really good tech against any rat decks or just any aggro decks in general, so it's great against pretty much every red deck in the format, a lot of the black decks as well. I think Shrouded Shepherd is a great place to start. Talion's Messenger is probably the most powerful card by itself, but I have had very, very bad experiences with blue to where if it isn't just like the most open color in the draft pod by a lot, I generally don't want to end up in the color, and this is a high stakes event, so I'm not going to play around with messing with colors that I don't think are that powerful. Grave Pact is a strong card if you can build around it a lot, but it's also really, really color restrictive. It doesn't impact the board by itself immediately. You have to do something else, like get something to die. I'm just going to take the Shrouded Shepherd to start things off. Nothing really to keep in mind here, no super powerful cards in the pack. If we're trying to figure out what's going to wheel for us. Pack 1, pick 2. Agatha's Soul Cauldron is strong but really slow. I've played against it once or twice and it has been pretty gross, but I've also played with it once or twice and I haven't actually been that impressed when I've had it on my side of the board. It's an interesting card. It's on that borderline. It's probably just right around decent. Not super incredible, not super terrible. Could definitely take it. It is flexible, fits into pretty much any deck because it's colorless. Not a massive fan though. I kind of like just taking a Hopeful Vigil here after the Shrouded Shepherd. This is like the best white common in my opinion because it fits so perfectly into any white deck. There's so many things that work well with this between the Bargain archetype, Celebration, stuff like that. So many different mechanics that work great with that card. Could take Hopeless Nightmare or Vermin, just immediately heading into white-black, making sure we have Cleave Shadows access, but I'm going to go deeper into white from the start and take the Hopeful Vigil. For pack 1, pick 3, that's a pick 3 Welcome to Sweet Tooth, which is a very powerful uncommon. For 2 mana, you get a 1/1, then you get a food, then you put 2 +1/+1 counters on that 1/1. So a 2 mana 3/3 that comes with a food, already excellent, and if you have any other food production, the card becomes completely absurd, so Welcome to Sweet Tooth is fantastic there. Definitely the best card in this pack. Other runner-ups are like Root Rider Fawn, maybe. Kind of it. Cheeky House Mouse probably the 3rd best, and that's not a super great card. Okay, pick 4. This pick, or this pack, pretty empty outside of blue with Archive Dragon here. The other blue cards all kind of suck, which is part of why blue's not a great color. It's got a lot of just complete misses. Could take Gingerbrute, which is great if we can put some roll tokens onto it, and it's colorless, so it could fit into our deck a little more likely than the Spear Guard, but I do like the Spear Guard better if we're in red. Gingerbrute does theoretically work with the Welcome to Sweet Tooth as well a little bit, as it is a food. Definitely Spear Guard or Gingerbrute here. I'm gonna actually go for the Spear Guard, though. Not super impressed with Gingerbrute just because it's a food. I'm a lot more impressed with it when you have a lot of young hero rolls going around. That is the one time I'm really happy to play it. Titanic Growth is reasonable. Tempest Art's pretty slow. Shatter the Oath, probably the best card. A bit slow, but great removal. We do have that opportunity of jumping into black with Shrouded Shepherd here. Let's take the Shatter the Oath, I think. Armory Mice, if you need some to 2-drop creatures to aggro out with, it can be good, but there are a lot of great ways to clear out 1/1s. Also, your opponent could just have a 1/1 Spear Guard or something on blocks, but there's cards like Rat Out, Flick a Coin, and stuff that make me pretty low on 1 toughness creatures. Pack 1, pick 6 now. So Werefox might be my favorite card here. Troyan's good for green-blue, but we're not in that direction at all. Clothier's an okay top-end card. It's very replaceable, though. Polluted Bonds doesn't do anything. Gingerbrute doesn't do much. Candy Trail's very filler. I feel like it's a Werefox or Clothier here. I'm going to go for the Werefox, get a little more green to go with the Welcome to Sweet Tooth, so we still have that option open as well. Pick 7. High stakes, super competitive event, not the place to try to brew around Lich Knight's Conquest. I will take a Conceited Witch, though. This is a premium common, being able to get a roll onto the board and a 3-mana 2/3 menace later. Yeah, best card in the pack for sure. Pick 8. There's a Prophetic Prism to splash in some off-color adventures primarily, but maybe just off-color spells in general. Horseman's a bit slow, but it's good value. And there's like the 15th copy of Gingerbrute. I think I'd rather just speculate towards Prism in case that ends up necessary in whatever we play. Pick 9. I do remember there wasn't a lot going on in this pack, and Vermin was one of my favorite cards in it, so I do like that as a sign to go towards white-black with our Shrouded Shepherd, because this was kind of the only good black card in the pack and one of the few good cards, period. It's kind of the one card I had in the back of my mind. I did say when I passed that pack there wasn't much to keep track of there in terms of just powerful cards, but Vermin was about at the top of the list because the pack was sort of weak in general. So we're happy to see it made it all the way around the table. If we want to move to white-black or green-black here. Okay. Somebody did take the Grave Pact, though, which is kind of weird. Nobody took Necropotence, that's correct. Moment of Valor, since we've got sideboard abilities here in best of 3. Armory Mice still jumping around the table. Cool with that. Not going to play any of these other cards. Rare Draft for Vault Progress. Rare Draft for... Well, no, Titanic Growth is definitely playable if we go green-black or green-white. What do we got? Pack 2. We're some combination of green, white, and black. I'm not playing an 8-drop. I could definitely play a Gingerbread Hunter, though. And there are no good white cards. Keep Guard and Return Triumphant are both okay, but not like good or great or anything. Gingerbread Hunter is spectacular. Any creature that has an adventure to be cast as removal spell and then also a creature to cast off of it later is just fantastic. So really, really great card for green-black, and that is going to incentivize us to push back into that direction, which is fine because we're kind of equally tied to green and white. When we count Moment of Valor as a sideboard card, when we count Armory Mice is not that powerful. It's 3 green cards to 2 white cards if we cut those. Yeah, green-black food could be the place to be if we get more just premium uncommons like Gingerbread Hunter opened up for us. Pack 2, pick 2. Another Shrouded Shepherd is very exciting to me, though. Could be green-black and splash in a little bit of white for Shrouded Shepherds out of the sideboard sometimes. If we play against the red-black decks with a lot of rats, then we just run Cleave Shadows, and whenever I hit a white source, Cleave Shadows also gives us a creature. See if we can't wheel some Brave the Wilds here. Take the Shrouded Shepherd. Don't think there was anything great for green-black food there. There are great cards for green-black food here. There's a Hollow Scavenger and a Minstrosity. Both are spectacular. I think Hollow Scavenger is a little more powerful individually, but I think we're more likely in black than anything else. Well, we could still be green-white splash black for adventures, splash the black for Cleave Shadows, splash the black for Gingerbread Hunter's Puny Snack. So maybe we actually do take the Scavenger over Minstrosity, just take the higher power level card here. I was going to consider taking the black card, even though it's a little weaker, just because black would be like the common denominator between going white-black Shrouded Shepherd or green-black Gingerbread Hunter. But we could also go white-green Splash Black, so I'm just going to take the strongest card there. Take the Werefox. Okay, no good white here, just a Frostbridge Guard. No good green, just a Return for the Wilds, which is good green if you have like 2 copies of Hamlet Glutton, because they're such a good combo, but by itself, not the greatest. Witcher's Vanity, though, spectacular black card and definitely the pick, so Now we're back to black in the middle between white, black, or green, black. And we're just going to keep bouncing around like that, I think. And we might not even fully decide which pair our deck is until deck building. I really do not want to just play a straight 3-color deck. I want to have a splash in this format. Pack's not great. Another Conceited Witch is good. Not great. Oof is fine. Visitor's fine. I think these are both weaker than Witch, as is the Armory Mice. Yep, get a Conceited Witch here. Best curve by far involves white in the deck, but the stronger cards are non-white. Don't know where we're going to end up here. Oh, we got to get Witch's Vanity out of there. Sweet Tooth Witch, great for green-black food. Also just solid in general out of black. Glass Casket's great cheap removal, though. But I think I'm liking pushing heavier on black here. We gotta find some 2-drops, though, if we do that. Yeah, we got that Witch's Vanity, we got Conceited Witch into Sweet Tooth Witch, picking up a lot of black here. Feel like I like that idea. Then we get Monstrosity, so we can actually get some 2-drops. Cooped Up would be good if we needed the removal. But we have Puny Snack, Shatter the Oath, Witch's Vanity, and we're trying to potentially push out of white here, so taking another white removal spell would not help do that, but taking a black 2-drop really, really does. Don't really like Witchstalker in this deck. Maybe we even just take a Leaping Ambush. I've already got a Titanic Growth. It feels very, very unlikely that Leaping Ambush will make the cuts, so I'll take the Witchstalker. Get a 2-drop into here. Get a Titanic Growth into here. Late Ratcatcher Trainee. Sad to see that, because we're definitely not doing that deck. Alright. We go full green-black. 17 playables now. Just gotta find 6 more cards, pack 3. It's definitely possible. Let's see. Open up a double red rare. That is not happening. Candy Grapple certainly is, though. Instant speed removal plays incredibly well. If your opponent ever tries to use something like Conceited Witch to put a Wicked Roll on one of their creatures and you kill it in response, you're killing their creature and their adventure half. It's also just great in a pretty aggressive format like this is. And it is flexible, being able to trade up into cards that cost a lot more mana if you bargain something away, so Candy Grapple's super premium. Curse is good, but nothing anywhere near the quality of Candy Grapple. So we gotta take that here. Sad to open up the off-color rare. Another Gingerbread Hunter is perfect. That is beautiful. That we're very happy to see. If we're the luckiest drafter alive, we could wheel an Edgewall in, but that's highly unlikely. Okay, what do we have for roll production for Lookout? Because I feel like we probably have to take Rat out, but if we have a lot of auras, that'll work. 1, 2... 3, 4, 5 maybe. Got a lot of other 3-drops as well. Five is pretty close to good for Lookout. I think like 7 is where I'd be pretty happy. I'll take the Lookout over the Rat out. Very, very close one though. Pack's pretty much nothing. I'm not playing 3 copies of Warehouse Tabby. There's also nothing for the white if we were still white-black. Guess we take a Picnic Ruiner and we can use Stolen Goodies and maybe splash in the red creature later. Just treat that as a weak little buff spell. Another Sweet Tooth Witch. And we've just got a million 3-drop cards, but Oh, good lord, do I wish I was in red at this point, pack 3 here. I'll have to look back at pack 1, but I don't remember seeing a lot of excellent red pack 1 to jump onto any signals. Just does feel like a bummer with cut in Battle Mouse. And we just opened up a red rare, which is definitely a thing that would have helped that we just literally couldn't have seen coming. Oh, there's a Hamlet Glutton here over Scream Puff. Yep, 5-drop Hamlet Glutton, get in here. Actually beautiful. Yep, come on in. Yeah. We got that one Sphere Guard pack 1, I guess there was that going for us to maybe go that way. Another roll token to go with the Lookout, but also my 50th 3-mana card. Go for it. Hopeless Nightmare's fine. I don't think it's great in green-black, though. But it can make the cut. Probably not playing any of these. Or any of these. Actually, probably more interested in 1 Candy Trail than 3 Titanic Growth. A little bit of just card draw and setup in the early game since I'm lacking on early game creatures. I can just play around with Candy Trail with my early mana. I think we're using Prism. I think we've ended up just straight green-black stuff here. A pretty solid version of this deck. We have high card quality. About as high as you can get without having rares. Because we have like double Gingerbread Hunter and a Welcome to Sweet Tooth. Got some very strong cards. Our mana curve really leaves something to be desired though. So I think this balances around like a 6 out of 10 power level deck, something like that. Slightly above average. Far from perfect. If we had the perfect curve, we'd be real happy with this, but that is the thing we are really lacking. We've got an awkward curve. So we cut 2 cards out of this deck. We're looking at 16 creatures, 9 non-creatures, but we have a Welcome to Sweet Tooth, making it like 17 creatures here. So we can cut any combination of creatures or non-creatures and still be at that very simple 15 to 17 creature count. So we are probably doing that, probably cutting some creatures here like the Witch Stalker. But I kind of hate not having 2 drops, even if the Witch Stalker is a pretty bad one in this deck. Double Warehouse Tabby also feels awkward. Love me these Gingerbread Hunters. They also kind of up our spell count a little bit with Puny Snacks. How good is Not Dead After All in here? How many creatures do I have that are going to be great to reanimate? Not a lot. Vermin, Sweet Tooth Witch, Genealogist, and Lookout are all pretty incredible to reanimate. And then any of the big creatures, just because they're big, I guess should be fine. We probably want to cut like a Tabby and a Titanic Growth here and edit things based on the matchup from there. This is a pretty simple, pretty basic build for green-black. Still 3 2-drops, 1 1-drop, 4 cards to play that can actually block before turn 3. Yeah, if our opponent's real aggressive, we might have to put a Tabby back in and see what we do from there. If they've got a ton of 1 toughness cards, we put Shrouded Shepherd and Prism and a Plains in here. Put 2 of these in just as Cleave Shadows in very specific matchups. Not in love with how this draft went, but it certainly ended in a reasonable place. We absolutely didn't like dumpster fire it or anything. But second half of like pack 2 into first half of pack 3, we saw very high quality red for a good portion there. Maybe had we ended up like red-black in perfect hindsight where I knew every card that was going to be opened, that would have been the best spot to be. Also, again, because in perfect hindsight, if we had known that we would open the red-black dragon in pack 3, then that would obviously also be big. But I think this is very reasonable. Gonna have to make some tight plays though, because we definitely don't have like supreme card quality, no bombs here. Bit of an awkward curve. We're gonna have to make the most of what we have on curve to help survive. Early aggro at times. Make sure we make the right sideboarding options if they're really aggressive or really slow. If they're really slow, we get to drop Tabby and Witchstalker and just play our best cards. If they're really aggressive, we probably need to cut down a little farther and bring back in a Tabby and stuff like that. Yeah. Not in love with this, but this is pretty much average for the kind of decks that we end up in during Day 2 drafts of the Arena Open. Lots of competitive drafters drafting today. So we're not necessarily going to be in like very simple traditional draft queues of a bunch of very casual players that haven't drafted the set a lot. We're probably drafting with at least a few people that are also drafting in the Arena Open, taking some premium cards, leaving us with, on average, a bit of a weaker deck during Day 2 drafts. But yeah, I mean, we've done probably like at least 8 Arena Open Day 2 drafts at this point, because we've done Day 2 draft 2s a lot, and we've done almost every Arena Open Day 2 draft number 1. And this feels pretty much on par for what we usually get, so I'd be a little unhappy with this, I think, at the end of just regular traditional draft. But it's still reasonable there. And yeah, for Arena Open Day 2, looks solid to me. We're going to call it a deck here. Alright, here we have a look at the finished deck list for today. This is going to be a pretty average green-black food kind of deck, just green-black mid-range stuff. The biggest weakness the deck has is the mana curve. It is definitely a bit higher and a bit clunky at just a million 3-mana cards, but we do have at least 4 cards that cost 2 mana or less, but we could definitely get aggroed out by some of the stronger aggressive decks in the format, primarily anything to do with red, red-white, red-black, red-green, all going to be scary matchups for us. Overall, we have some pretty high card quality here and a lot of cards that can give us some gross 2-for-1s to get ahead in card advantage. We have Gingerbread Hunters that can eat up a creature with the Puny Snack and then also hit the board as a 5/5 that comes with a food token later. We have Tanglespan Lookouts with like 5+ rolls in the deck to potentially draw some extra cards off this thing, get ahead in card advantage off of that. We have a lot of cards like Conceited Witches and Genealogists here that can get a creature on the board and get a roll onto something else to buff them up. And Welcome to Sweet Tooth, another one of these cards that's kind of a miniature 2-for-1, where for 2 mana we get a 3/3 human and a food token. Lots of cards like that that'll leave behind a food token, like Monstrosity as well, Sweet Tooth Witch, Vermin leaving behind a rat. So a lot of ways to leave a little bit of something behind, even if our card individually trades off into something. So lots of little incremental ways to get ahead in card advantage and hopefully just end up having a creature or 2 left on the board when the dust settles and taking those final 2 cards to victory, maybe a 5/5 or a 4/3 Trampler or something, when we end up in the late game. Few pieces of excellent removal here with Shatter the Oath, Candy Grapple, and the Witch's Vanity, as well as some combat trick and protection spells like Titanic Growth and Not Dead After All. So some flexibility there in the non-creature slot as well. Pretty much everything you want here, just not the perfect version of anything. No bomb rares, bit of a rough curve, and a little bit low on card quality in the removal and the creature curve. There are some filler cards, like Candy Trail being a very filler non-creature card, Warehouse Tabby and Witchstalker being very filler creatures, but make do with what we've ended up with here, and it still looks like a solid average deck today. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and head into the gameplay and see how it does. Here we are for round 1 on the play. I believe we just Candy Trail turn 1, so I could eat it turn 2 if I want. And we set up exactly what our draws want to be. We do want 5 lands for the Gingerbread Hunter. I'm going to keep this land, but take Candy Grapple first. And we're likely to go Swamp, hold up Candy Grapple. If we don't use it, we'll sack the Candy Trail here. The awkward thing about this is not getting the food token off of the Hollow Scavenger. But I think it's worth it for that flexibility of holding up the grapple, and then we can just hold up a Puny Snack turn 3. Our opponent's on green. I just Puny Snack a Scarecrow Guide, I guess. That would be an efficient way to use our mana turn 3. Then turn 4 we can make the food and the scavenger in the same turn. That'll be pretty fine. Ooh. That's a pretty great draw. Now I could actually just play the Minstrosity and get my food, but I think opponent starting off of Forest makes me a little interested in clearing out their mana fixing just in case they don't have their second color. They do, though. They are going to drop a Swamp here for 3 bowls of porridge, which I'm not really worried about. That is a fine 1-for-1 removal spell. But after that, it's just tap and some life gain. So I think what we do here is drop a Minstrosity and get a food. Ready to cast Gingerbread Hunter next turn. And if they want to use the bowls of porridge on the Minstrosity, that's fine. I don't even think we Not Dead after all. Well, maybe we do. Then we have a 4-power creature on the board, a Candy Grapple to clear out their next blocker. They don't have the mana to use the porridge until their next turn. And yeah, they'd have to soak up 2 mana to do that, which would stop them from casting a creature potentially. Green, black, and blue from our opponent. Alright, they know we have a 5-drop Gingerbread Hunter up here, so I don't know that I love just trying to cast it here against the blue mana now. They could have a Disdainful Stroke up to counter something with mana value 4 or greater. The fact that they hold all this mana up is very suspicious. Now we draw into a Werefox, so I have the mana to play a Candy Grapple or a Not Dead after all and cast a Hollow Scavenger for the turn, and I think that's going to be a safer play against the open blue. Before we do anything, we're probably beating in with the Minstrosity and seeing if we can get them to tap their porridge. See how the auto tapper goes for them, or how they choose to tap. They are going to hold the blue mana up, which does make this extra awkward. So am I going to Not Dead after all here? Am I going to save it to maybe reanimate a Gingerbread Hunter later? I feel like for mana efficiency, I'd be interested in just using it. Is the other card like a Candy Grapple? That would not be bad for me. Get that out of the way. Fairy Fencing. Ooh, this is going to be real bad for our opponent. They have no fairies on board, so... Okay, it's actually not going to be real bad, because it's still going to die to the porridge after this. But I make sure that our card still resolves. Still holding up a Candy Grapple, but I'm not playing a Scavenger anymore here. Is this worth it to guard change? I feel like it is. Then we keep a 4-2 on board instead of losing that. Yeah, I think it's worth it. Very interesting interaction overall. A lot of stuff just happened. Alright, now we're just holding up a Candy Grapple. Alright, we need to remember Fairy Fencing as their only instance so far. Let me pull open my notepad, as we are in a very competitive event. Fairy Fencing is the one instant we've seen so far. We also have Scan the Clouds from Tempest Heart. That's not something we really need to play around, but it is decent to keep in mind that they have access to that, and Arena might hold that up for them. So let's clear out the Tempest Heart to get our damage in. And they are tapped out of blue mana, so we'll drop the 5/5. If I had 6 mana, I think I'd rather drop 2 3-mana cards, but we don't, so we'll just play the biggest card that we can. And they might be full 5 color, actually. Blue, red, black, and green minimum. There's another Tempest Heart for the Scan the Clouds. So they're digging for land 6 to play the Heart as well. Potentially. Or they already have land 6 and they're just trying to set up some good draws here while they impact the board. Oh my god, what is going on? Our opponent is a bold player. They're in the Arena Open Day 2. And they're playing 4-color Unnatural Growth, a 4-color deck with a quadruple green spell. They must have a lot of Scarecrow Guide style cards to really get there. Alright, there's the Firebolt for the Gingerbread Hunter. Opponent has Ambition that I just do not. Single black mana, what could they have up here? Fairy Fencing for 0. Candy Grapple's 2 mana. They could have a Rat out. I don't think they could have anything that's going to really get me if I try to put a Wicked Roll onto my Werefox as my 5 mana play for the turn. So let's do that. Also, Arena's not holding for them, but you can always try to bluff that with the pass turn button and then full control at the right time. Alright. Frantic Firebolt, keeping track of that as well. Another instant. So there's Tempest Heart. 3/4 body. We have fine attacks into that. We just trade Monstrosity off and get the rest of the board in for the rest of the game. Got the 6 mana now to play both of these. That's probably the line. Do want to start speeding things up now that we're pretty far in the lead here. Just so if we do go to game 3, we're unlikely to time out. That's not great. I don't have instants, though. They're going to clear the board, but we're ahead like 3 cards, and this is part of what I was talking about with the just inherent card advantage in this deck. Actually, a little more interested... Well, they already used the 2 damage, so let's actually play Scavenger. I was going to say I might be more interested in Genealogist and Witch, just so we don't have any 2 toughness creatures on board for the porridge, but they already used that, so... The big part is having the mana up to eat the food to help protect the Scavenger, but they're playing off the top, so, I mean, if they hit a 2 damage burn spell, whatever. Alright. We play a Genealogist attack in with a squad. They can trade into Witch... Or not Witch, they can trade into Monstrosity, but the rest just gets in. Yep, tap the Scavenger so they don't take that 5 damage, but trade into Monstrosity. Go down to 3. We get another food to feed to the Hollow Scavenger. Root Rider Fawn, A-okay here, we've got lethal on board. They block the Scavenger, take 5, and that's the concession. Game 1 is going to be a victory for us. Let's take another peek at the deck, but I'm pretty confident in our main deck in this matchup. Double Frantic Firebolt to keep track of. Fairy Fencing, very important to keep track of. Fairy Fencing and Double Frantic Firebolt are instant speed cards we might be able to play around a little bit. There's Guard Change, the +1/+1 monster roll. Yeah, I don't think we have a really important sideboard for this matchup, so I'd rather just gather intel on the instants to try to play around. If they make suspicious plays that looks like they are trying to do one of these cards, like a Fairy Fencing block or something. Alright, don't have to worry about Scan the Clouds too much, but I will keep track that they have 2 copies, and that could be what Arena's holding. Alright. Go to our sideboard, but this matchup just already seems solid. They're a slower deck, we don't really need to get any quicker here. They've got an awkward mana base that maybe we can try to aggro under, but we don't have like good little aggro cards, we just have good little blockers if they're too aggressive. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the run it back here. They didn't have a ton of like 1 toughness stuff. They had a little bit with the 1 Scarecrow guide, but not enough to want to go for Shrouded Shepherd shenanigans or anything. Just going to run it back here. Heading into game 2 of round 1. Hand could be awkward, but we have a very solid turn 3 play and an excellent turn 5 play. We're obviously hoping to draw non-lands, but I think it's got to be a keep here. This is a great hand for speeding things up and using a little bit less of our clock game too. Green-blue from our opponents. They could have their scan the clouds, draw 2, discard 2, adventure up, but they're probably playing something proactive like the Scarecrow Guide. We've drawn Titanic Growth into land, which is a bit awkward. Really looking for more like creatures to play, primarily. So they poke us for 2, drop a land, drop an Iron Crag for ramp, and 3 Bowls of Porridge is back at it again. Alright, so that's going to kill the Vermin here. Do I still play the Vermin before Genealogist, or do I play Genealogist because they can't kill it with the Bowls of Porridge? I guess I'm supposed to play Genealogist even though I lose out on the roll token, which is a little sad. Just because they can't single-handedly just clear it out and get the Scarecrow Guide in. They'd have to spend the Scarecrow Guide and the Porridge on it if they don't have an alternate way to kill it. So that does stop the damage, and they just cast a Beanstalk Worm for the turn, which means I can cast something like a Sweet Tooth Witch here, and then a Hamlet Glutton next turn. But then the Porridge kills Sweet Tooth Witch. Would I rather they just kill Vermin than the Witch? Probably. Because I'm not going to have a super wide board state for the Vermin to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, and if they want to do something else with their mana, then spend 2 on killing one of my creatures, then Vermin's a better creature to have on board when I sack the Rat to the Glutton, because it'll actually get a counter, which is cute. Could have also just held off, hold Titanic Growth up to try to block and growth against Beanstalk Worm, but that's going to be pretty bad when they'll have all their mana up when they go to combat. They have any of their instants, which we know they have a lot of, that could end really badly for us. And they've got the Crystal Grotto out to be able to play any of them. Okay, so we've seen Frantic Firebolts and Fairy Fencing. Fairy Fencing is getting close to being able to kill Hamlet Glutton, but the Firebolt definitely can't. But Fairy Fencing plus Porridge would, but they already used Porridge now, so Fairy Fencing would be Scarecrow Guide for black. They've got 4 out of the 6 mana they need. They've got 5 out of the 6 because they have Iron Crag. Yeah, if they have Fairy Fencing, they can kill the Glutton. So do I wait for 7 mana to play Glutton, hold up growth? I suppose I could, because Scavenger already threatens to block kill Beanstalk Worm, so they have to tap the Scavenger this turn. We take 5 doing that. But the second I play a Hamlet Glutton, I'm gaining a good chunk of life. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's try to get the use out of our other cards first. I should have sent in the Rat there, because I don't think they would block. We know they have red cards in there and black cards in there, so Scarecrow Guide is valuable because it can turn 1 mana into one of any color, instead of Crystal Grotto, where they basically have to spend 2 mana to get one of any color, because they have to tap the Crystal Grotto in addition to another land. So I should have attacked with the Rat, because they were not going to block. The reason I didn't is because our Rat is valuable, so they can keep the food and sack the Rat to the Glutton, but I'm pretty sure attacking with the Rat would just be a free point of damage. It's not really at risk of dying there, because Scarecrow Guide is valuable to them, just like the Rat is valuable to us. Agatha's Champion, that's annoying. There goes Genealogist, I suppose. Ooh, wish I had 1 more mana up. That would have been so good here. But it's the first time we saw Agatha's Champion, so not easy to play around cards you have not seen yet. Now I can Witch, holding up growth and Titanic, or growth and Scavenger growth. Just double growth, 1 Titanic and 1 just Scavenger's ability. Now that they have a 4/4 down, the Rat does not get free damage in. Send in the squad. Alright, so I've got to see what kind of... Whoop! Thought I was in the blocker phase here. Got to see what kind of trick they may have. Trying to kill both their beefy creatures. They've got an instant. Likely. But hopefully they respond to the scavenger so that doesn't kill. Feels like they have instant speed removal, they just kill scavenger there. Guess we gotta find out. Let's get 2 for 1. Alright, well played from opponent holding the removal. Let's not miss out on 1 point of damage. Alright, big stable. Boop. Top deck war time. Who draws the best cards first? Because the board states even. Life totals, they're favored. But either player could draw into the win here. It would be harder for us for sure at this point. Clear out the board with the glutton. I feel like that's not worth it at our current life total. I think we just drop Witch Stalker pass. Our opponent has, I think they have more better top decks than we could have here, because they have 2 Scan the Clouds off the Tempest Heart for draw 2, discard 2, which is incredible in a top deck board like this to get out of Flood. Now that we've drawn the Tabby, we might send in Glutton, because I can still have a Death Touching blocker for the 4/4 trample. And we're essentially at 8, so we don't just, like, die. And we have to try to get this top deck war to last a short amount of time, give them less time to find their Scan the Clouds off the Tempest Hearts. God dang. Yep, clear the board now. Okay. With the Death Touch, I could be attacking Tabby into the Root Rider Fawn now. Wow. Well, that's excellent. They have double Agatha's Champion. Let's keep that in mind for our Titanic growths, because we could ruin that. Holding up Titanic growth at the right time. Don't think I can afford to trade our Death Toucher into the 1/3 when they have a 4/4 trample. Well, hello there. They hit us for 1 a turn, we hit them for 2 a turn. It's something. We actually do win the race currently because of our food token. If we hit them twice as hard as they hit us. What is Totentanz doing in there? Okay. I guess I might as well get another point of damage out of this Conceited Witch before I cast it. But I think we have to hold up blocks from there. Because I attack into this, they're going to have a 1/3 and a 1/1 rat. I'll have a 2/3 though. They can't attack with both. Oh, I get a rat from doing this as well, from the Warehouse Tabby. Trigger. Oh, so I make them lose 1 and I get a rat, which is cool. Trading to Totentans, they get a rat. I have a 2/3 blocker against a 1/3 and a rat. I'm at 6 life, essentially. Might be better to just hold the Death Touch at this point. Well, it feels good to have held the Death Touch. But this does make Totentans better, because now we're going to have to be trading off in other cards. Get a guard change here. 3/4 Menace Trample, doesn't do much for me. Could swap out Tabby's Wicked Roll, just to get another rat. Four power creature is big against Beanstalk Worm. So I think we need to just play this. So we probably swap our rollout. No, it's probably better to make the Witch a 3/4 and just play a 4/3 Trampler. Even though it doesn't give us attacks immediately. It gives us better blocks. That's pretty gross in this top deck war. I have to Puny Snack as a trick. Might not even be able to do that. I don't know if I have time, but just a 5/5 with a food is massive here. Play these lands. We're about to get some really expensive things to do, potentially when we hit Candy Trail. If we make it there. Totentans does really do its thing here. Make any blocks and I lose my dork. Guess we get to Puny Snack the rat then. At least with Gingerbread Hunter, since I kind of have to play the 5/5 immediately. Oh, okay. So we lose. Alright, well. We really need them to not draw that card in game 3. Alright, yeah, we've got no shot at victory from here. I mean, if I somehow find a lethal attack, but they go block here, block here, block here, take 2, we've got no way to shoot them for another 5 out of nowhere. And then next turn they have 15 points of life gain on board and card draw, and they're attacking for 11 in the sky. Yeah, there's no... Unless they just forget it that they're at 7 and just don't block. Alright, yeah. Well, that's gross. So, their deck is a bunch of good green cards and a pile of nonsense alongside it, basically. Agatha's Champions being the absolute MVPs that game. But other than, like, good green stuff like Champions, it's just kind of whatever off-color stuff they want. The Goose Mother's a massive problem. I don't think we're going to be able to win if they resolve this. Unless we immediately have our Shatter the Oath to kill it. Stop them from the life gain and the card draw. I kind of like rocking Double Growth against the Agatha's Champions. Another tabby in here. What cards don't seem good? Hopeless Nightmare doesn't seem great in this matchup. Don't love the Not Dead after all. Do I play another tabby and another Titanic Growth over a Hopeless Nightmare Not Dead after all? I don't even feel like tabby's that great, because we still get trampled even if the tabby trades up. The rats don't do too much for us. Although they do with Titanic Growth add a lot of extra potential reach there. I'm gonna try Double Growth over Candy Trail. Double Growth, Double Tabby over Candy Trail, and Hopeless Nightmare. Just play to the board here more consistently. And have the Titanic Growths to reverse their Agatha's Champion 2-for-1 into our favor. Obviously gotta find a swamp here, but Witch Stalker Growth can be good for us, and if we find the swamp, obviously we're golden. Get the turn 2 Monstrosity here. Root Rider Fawn. Certainly attack in. No blocks. Got 4 mana up next turn. Don't have to worry about Agatha's Champion yet. Just the Porridge they can use while we're tapped out on the Monstrosity, which is kind of annoying. They choose to wait, which could be really bad for them. Because we have access to Growth and Not Dead after all now. They're going to try to use it on Tabby in response to me giving it Death Touch. I wouldn't hate that. I would hate that I'd have to dump the mana onto it. Let's just see what happens if I try to move to combat. Yeah, they're going to try to use it in response to Tabby. Well, no Tabby for you then. Okay, do I want to just put them to 10, or do I want to get a 4-power creature on board with Witch Stalker? I feel like I'd rather just permanently have a 4-power creature. Plus a card with an enchantment on it when I have 2 Warehouse Tabbies potentially. Feels good. So 4-power creature for Witch Stalker. I get to hold up Growth in case they play Champion next turn. They go land Champion and we just win the game. Oh yeah, baby. This is why we love sideboarding. GG. Now we get to Coven them too. All right, 2-1 for round 1. We get a victory. In our first round, we just need to win 2 out of the next 3 rounds of Magic to make it to the Arena Open Day 2 draft number 2 now. Super happy with the sideboarding choices there. Getting more creatures to play to the board to get the potential Titanic Growth to flip things around and reverse 2-for-1 the Agatha's Champion. And it absolutely won us the game there. Both of our sideboarding options, the fact that we had double Tabby to get the extra creature on the board guaranteed early so they had targets for Champion, and then the Titanic Growth to flip things around. The sideboarding option that I think was 100% the best was going up to 2 Titanic Growth. The Tabby's still debatable. It wasn't really necessary there, but I think the idea was solid, just having more early game creatures, more targets for them to dump the champion as quickly as possible, and us to potentially flip the game off of the reverse Titanic growth play. All right. Love to see it. We are heading into round 2 now, 1-0. Our opponent's on the play, so we're on the draw to help us find our black source. We've got multiple draw steps to get there. And turn 2, Welcome to Sweet Tooth is a heck of a drug. 9 black sources out of the 33 cards. We have 3 draw steps before I need a black. Roll with it here on the draw. I think on the play we should probably mulligan. But we're going to go for this. Ooh, now we get a Tangle Span lookout turn 3 even if I don't hit the black source. So now we can wait till turn 4 for our black source. Playing against another green deck here. Turn 1, get the Bakery Raid from the Hollow Scavenger. Getting a food token on the board. Green, blue. Prophetic Prism, tap out. Find a Witch's Vanity for some removal when we find the black source. Still just green and blue lands from our opponent. Troublemaker, oof, exile the Welcome to Sweet Tooth, that's pretty great value. But now they don't have the food token for the scavenger, at least. Land 4 from our opponent. Hatching Plans. Do they have the bargain to go with it? If so, that's going to be gross. Oh yeah, they're going to bounce the lookout, draw a card, sack Hatching Plans, draw 3, and we are just miles behind in card advantage because 2 mana, draw 3 is a fair Magic card. Alright, completely filthy. Game's already looking like a very uphill battle at this point. Especially if we miss on the black source on the 4th draw here. If we find it on the 4th draw, we can like, counter card draw them by going lookout and then wicked roll onto a card. But if I miss the black source for the 4th turn in a row, then yeah, we don't have a way to try to flip the card advantage back in our favor in any way. Or not even flip it back in our favor, just like keep up with the amount of card draw that they've cast. And we did miss the black source on our 4th draw as well. No black sources, 11 cards deep, unfortunately. Or just none of the 9 black sources in the top 4 that we saw. Whichever way you want to look at it. A bit unfortunate either way. But we're still not totally punished since they bounced the lookout. They gave us something to do with our mana this turn, so we're not like getting incredibly punished for the keep until next turn when I just don't have anything to do because I don't have a black source. I have nothing to do with all my mana that I have up. Natural white source here. Coop up the lookout. Still draws me cards unless they immediately exile, and they do go for the immediate exile. Now the black source is definitely less impressive because we don't get the card draw off of it. But still kind of necessary to have a shot this game at this point. Oh. Okay, I don't know if we win against turn 6 Gruff Triplets even with the best hand in our deck, because Gruff Triplets is the highest win rate card in the whole format, and it's pretty impossible to beat. You get 3 3/3s trample, and when any of them die, they put power onto the other ones equal to their power. So if they attack in a way that forces me to trade off into 1, all of a sudden it's 2 6/6 tramples, And then if I trade off into one of those, it's 1/12/12 trample and just kind of an auto win sort of card. I've beaten one Griff Triplets in my life, or Gruff Triplets, Griff Triplets. I've beaten one Gruff Triplets so far in this format. And it was because my opponent attacked with all three into 3/3/2s, so I could just kill all three triplets at the same time, so none of them got any counters. But otherwise, you just don't beat that card. All right. I think I would rather not show them my secondary color than play a black spell and still die next turn. Yeah. Well, I already hate this matchup. Mainly just because Gruff Triplets. We're not going to win any game where that's resolved. We don't have any counter spells to side into. We only saw one bargain card? No, we saw two. We saw Johann Stopgap and we saw Troublemaker Oof. So I don't know how good Hatching Plans is in their deck, but if they bargain it every single time they cast it, it's completely busted and also incredibly hard to beat. A 2-mana draw 3. So they've got a lot of very, very high power individual cards like the Triplets, the Utopia Sprawl, the Hatching Plans there. That kind of just seems like what their general deck idea is. Just some filler stuff, just get to the really high power level cards with some card draw between Stopgap Plans, some fixing with Sprawl and Prism. I really don't like this matchup much. I don't think we have a great sideboard against a deck that's just trying to dig to and cast bombs. Not that, like, we can't beat a deck that has bombs, like, we can shatter the Oath against individual bombs, but when the bomb is Gruff Triplets, we have nothing remotely close to beating that. There's no sideboard material to play around that or against that. Feels like I just run it back here. See if we can have a bit of a better game 2. Game 1 was just kind of unplayable for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, I could have taken the mulligan, but seeing the triplets in the end turn 6, it was going to be a wash no matter what. Unless I had the most aggressive curve I can possibly draw out of this deck. Maybe. Maybe that's what we do. We try to close the game out quickly so they have less time to draw into the triplets. So we take Titanic Growth for maybe a free kill out of nowhere, put another Warehouse Tabby, drop some card draw like Candy Trail, and drop a slow card. I'll just go 41 card special so that I don't time out there, but we'll just add another 1-drop and a Growth again. Maybe on the play, curve out, kill them before they draw into the big spookies. And get another mono-colored hand, and it's close to a keep because of Puny Snack, but I think it's gotta be a mulligan. And this hand's really slow, but we kind of have to keep it rather than mulliganing to 5. Alright. Pretty unhappy right now. Already feels like a potentially rough matchup. Again, if they just draw into Gruff Triplets. So we need to have like premium hands to stand a chance here, and this is about as bad as a hand can get without me mulliganing to 5. In which case, I've mulliganed to 5 on the play. I'm down 2 cards, and we're not beating most hands with or without Gruff Triplets. Yep, just set up all the fixing in the world, get some card draw, dig to those potential bombs. Putting a 2/3 on board doesn't even pressure them very much at all, but I'm not going to have a creature out till turn 5 to put the roll onto, so we'll be playing really, really slow and greedy to try to wait so I can get the royal roll on the board for the genealogist. They do have the mana for sacking the food here. Attack in, because we're definitely not blocking. Because I don't want to try to puny snack the scavenger when our opponent has 6 open mana, for instance. If I go block, make them crack the food, then they crack the food, then I try to do this, and they play an instant. I can't do anything about that. Genealogist is back in hand. Puny snack doesn't do anything here. I mean, it makes them spend a mana cracking a food, but it doesn't kill anything. Ferocious Werefox is interesting. Got a lot of blue mana up here, and they have hatching plans, which means they're probably playing as many bargain cards as they possibly can. So I feel like they probably have at least one copy of the bargain counterspell in their deck, which is 2 blue and 1 counterspell bargain. They can counterspell for only 2 blue mana. So I don't just want to run Gingerbread Hunter into that. Plus we have Fine Play just playing the Genealogist again. I'm holding up Not Dead After All and Guard Change. Drop a 6/5, that is our Shatter the Oath target for sure. Tapped out of the food so we could puny snack the scavenger as well. Which is pretty cool. Get that mana commitment out of the way while they're tapped out. I kind of want to puny snack while they're tapped out of the food, but then I'm not killing the gatekeeper, which doesn't feel correct. Can't get an attack in with Genealogist unless I Shatter the Oath Gatekeeper, put a counter on it, which gets rid of the monster roll, replaces it with a wicked roll, which does not feel great. If I had one more mana, I'd be pretty happy to Werefox, hold up Puny Snack. Well, play Werefox and play Puny Snack, not hold it up. This is a little greedy, but I'm going to go for full value. Try to kill all of their cards with all of my cards. Get the full value out of all of my adventures, take a little bit extra damage, grind out a longer game. Again, it's going to suck if they top deck into Gruff Triplets at any point, but I don't think we really have a way to use our cards tremendously aggressively here, so let's just get full value out of all of the adventures to try to get a War of Attrition going where we end up with extra cards left over and they end up with nothing in hand playing off the top. That's pretty cool with me. I mean, they draw another card, so they keep digging for bombs, but and I already wasn't going to block with it. I wasn't doing much with Genealogist. They could still have the counterspell here, which gets us if we try to Shatter, it gets us if we try to Lookout, draw a card, gets us if we try to Gingerbread Hunter. We don't have a line against the counterspell that I'm pretty sure they have. So let's do this, because I think this plays the best against the counterspell, because at least we keep something. Right, they counter the Lookout, and then we at least get the 2/3. Whereas if I just go for Hunter or Shatter, then I get absolutely nothing this turn. Yeah, so that was predictable. That's the best we could have played around the counterspell. They have double counterspell, this game's just over. So we have one last turn to kill this gatekeeper now. Or resolve a blocker. At least I have the 2 mana if it's the counter unless I pay 2. Alright, try to shatter the gatekeeper. Have a not dead after all. They try to kill Genealogist. But whatever I do here, if they have a counterspell, we're dead. Interesting. Should I play around a flash creature here out of green-blue? I don't think there's a lot in this format. And they're not 5 power as far as I remember, unless there's like a rare or a mythic I'm not thinking of. Most of the flash creatures I can think of are in black in this format, the 4 mana 3/1 flyer at common. I guess they could have the rare. That would just win them the game anyway. The 6 mana 6/6 flash. That also has an adventure to kill my creature when it's attacking. Alright, we know... Well, they're going to tap out here, so we really know they don't have a counterspell. But I was going to say, we know they don't have a counterspell here, because they would have countered our removal spell to have lethal on board, so I think it's Gingerbread Hunter. But now that they've played a Scavenger for a 5/4 attacker, we probably just play a 4/3 to block it. Plus we can hold up Not Dead After All here while still playing Witch Stalker, which is great. Interesting thing to note about Hollow Scavenger that's really important to keep in mind is it can only eat 1 food per turn, so it can't make itself bigger than a 5/4. I really dislike how long this game has gone. They've drawn almost half their deck now, which means they are just getting ever closer and closer to Gruff Triplets. But they're at 14, so with the right collection of cards, we could close this game out in like 3 more turns, just playing a Gingerbread Hunter if they don't have a good amount of interaction coming in the next couple draw steps. I guess they've got 6 life of food too. Yeah, no, it's probably going to take at least 4, maybe 5 turns to kill them, even if they draw dead here. Which is not beautiful, not gorgeous. Got Hunter plus Genealogist mana here, but I think I'd rather hold up the food to be real safe, because Scavenger's lethal on board. So I'm going to see if Hunter resolves or if it gets countered before I do anything else. It resolves, so I'm going to hold up food and Not Dead After All then. Kind of wish Scavenger couldn't be a 4 toughness creature here so that Witch Stalker could attack in too, but then they just block and kill Witch Stalker for basically free. And that is not good for me. Sir Ginger the Meal Ender. That is very good with the food tokens. That's going to be a 4/1 that's going to scry another card and dig closer to the Gruff Triplets. It's a +1/+1 counter and scries whenever their artifacts die. Plus it gains them a bunch of life. They can chump and sack if they want to just extend the game here. Keep that life total really high. Get some more draw steps. Alright, we're going to Genealogist onto Gingerbread Hunter, so if they want to kill it, they have to double block, because they have a 5 power and a 4 power creature potentially on board. Ooh, Troublemaker Oof, though. To get rid of a Prism, so they get a counter and scry one, and Sir Ginger's now basically a 5 power creature. They scry to the top, and I have to imagine it's a Gruff Triplets. We obviously crack the food here, since it's getting exiled anyway. Find a Vermin. Got more than enough mana to do all this stuff. We definitely Vermin pre-combat. They still have to double block to kill the gingerbread hunter. Witch Stalker is still a free kill for them off of Hollow Scavenger. Not free, it costs them a food, but they already kind of want to sack the food to Sir Ginger regardless. If they resolve Gruff Triplets, they have more blockers than we have attackers. And we don't hit them anymore, and then Triplets takes things over. Triplets still enough to win the game. So hopefully the Scry is just a solid card, and not that. Alright, they don't have to eat the food to actually attempt to trade into the Werefox here. I think we are going to not dead after all to have as many attackers left on this board next turn as possible. God, Sir Ginger can chump and gain 5 next turn. Well, it was lovely trying. They're essentially at 13 life because they sack the food token and then sack Sir Ginger for 8 life gain. I can Witch's Vanity and force the Sir Ginger sack right now so I can at least get some creatures in. But I have to not die to the 12 trample damage they potentially have by trading 1 triplets off. We still have a chance here if they play with their triplets incorrectly. Like they just attack with all 3 at once. But I don't think I can attack in unless I'm going to kill them. Because if we attack in a way that lets them lose 1 triplets, that's going to be game ending basically. 13 life. Can they trump 2 creatures and survive? If so, we're dead. Because they go trump, chomp, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11. Yeah, they can just go chump, chump there and have 12 power of trample and kill me. Yeah, no, we can't do it. Well, that's awesome. So now they have a 9-10 and draw an extra card every turn. Now we gotta hope for some random candy grapple lethal. Which is not gonna happen. At this point, if I just hold blocks off, I'm edicting myself to Prodigy every turn. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think I just lunge. Seeing if we can get them into bad block into candy grapple. Because now they're drawing 2 a turn for the rest of the game. We're never milling them out at this rate, at 8 life, facing this much power already. They have 17 cards to dig through. We hold 1 Genealogist back to chump Prodigy. Chump Prodigy, kill 2 triplets. Take 8, but gain 3. I don't know. Wish we drew one of our growths. If we had like 1 Titanic growth here, we'd be so much more likely to be able to just plunge into lethal. Oh, you know what I just realized? Their last triplets is actually going to be a 9/9, not a 6/6. Alright, it just really doesn't matter. Their bomb power level is just infinitely too high. Yeah, whatever. Chump of Prodigy gain 3 it is. Oh wait, it did work. Oh yeah, because grapple does shut off the power. Okay, I was correct. Initially. In that I just leave them with a 6/6 triplets. And the Prodigy. They hit removal, we're dead. If they didn't hit removal, we got crackbacks. Removal spell adventure. Absolutely gross. Alright, what are you gonna do? Could definitely have played out Game 2 a bit better overall. But we were monumentally outclassed that match. I don't think the greatest player in the universe ever wins that round. 1-1 heading into round 3. Alright, here we are for round 3. Very, very happy with this hand. This hand looks just really, really good to where it makes basically every other hand that we've drawn all day look awful. At least our openers last round, for sure, were significantly worse than this. Playing against red, they still play nothing turn 2, which is interesting. Usually red, the most aggressive color in the format. Because they're on red, I'm just gonna try to puny snack whatever they play turn 3. I don't really have much other choices, but I'm definitely not going to try to put a monster roll on my monstrosity into their open red mana. They could have Torch the Tower. In response, kill my creature and my adventure. Or Stone Splitter Bolt in response, kill my creature and my adventure. Those would both be awful for me. Hopefully they don't just go land Grabby Giant, but if they do, I do have the Candy Grapple. Well, this is beautiful. Sorry. Your flick a coin will do nothing here. It still draws them a card, gets them a treasure, which is really important, seeing that they are still stuck on mana. No third land. Alright, we tap out for the Werefox here to keep that pressure on, seeing only 2 lands from them, and they're down to 13 already. Red Cap Thief, get a 2/3 blocker on the board. Torch the Tower as well for the 1. Yep, there goes Monstrosity. That can definitely help keep them in the game if they have really efficient removal like that. Missing a land drop also very helpful for our opponent. That means we don't drop a 6/6 trample or a 5/5 this turn. It's a big deal. Big, big deal. Instead, we just grapple the red cap thief. Or let it jump. Since these are instant speed, we just hit for 4 and then use something during their turn. Still stuck on the 2 mana. End step grapple it is, so I can spend all my mana on a gingerbread hunter instead. They could have a monstrous rage there to get a +1/+1 roll onto that, but I think that's the only way in red to save it. Ride the Rails is a +2/+1 combat trick, that would have worked. So there's 2 cards that could have saved that out of just mono red. That's not very many. Still no 5th land. I mean, I don't love our mana situation, but it's not as bad as our opponents, so I guess we take it. Do I hold up Puny Snack or just play the Witch? I feel like I play the Witch. Another Torch the Tower. Alright, they've got Torch the Towers for days. We can keep track of that on Notepad. And they do concede. They still miss a land drop there, so great luck for game 1 there. Alright, so play around Torch the Towers. I like growths against Torch the Towers. We're just gonna always throw in the Titanic growths, just every matchup it seems. Shepherd's generally gonna be good against red, but we didn't see enough, I think, to put it in. Because they could be like red-blue, a bunch of burn spells, and very low creature count. I don't like Not Dead After All against exile removal, and all of their cheap burn has been exiling, so I think we just cut a Not Dead After All for a growth and call it a deck. I don't really want to put another 1 toughness card against the torches. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut a Not Dead After All, throw in a Titanic growth. Not a lot of information gained game 1. So I think that's all the changes we make. Game number 2. Do we keep a 1-lander? We're on the draw with 4 2-mana cards. And a 1-drop? 1-drop, 4 2-mana cards. If I hit a forest, it's actually golden, but that is so risky. Take that mulligan here. Keep this one. Alright, we really need to be careful with our Price of Beauty adventure into any open mana, because we know they have Torch the Towers. So if I try to put a Wicked roll on my 1/1 and they have a Torch, they get to kill my Witch and my Human at the same time. So it's probably best to just play the Witch as a 2/3 menace. If they constantly hold a mana up. Discard a Hamlet Glutton, so red-green it is. Alright. They have Agatha's Champions, I like the Titanic growth again. Play nothing, turn 2. Let's welcome them to Sweet Tooth. Welcome. Grabby Giant, get the treasure. Turn 3, play the Giant. Nope. Red Cap Thief, get another treasure. They are not tapped out of Torch the Tower because they have 2 treasure tokens, so I don't want to try to do Conceited Witch nonsense. We'd rather just tap out for a creature here, I believe. I guess I've got Titanic growth. So if I put a Wicked roll on this and hold up Titanic growth, it's reasonable. I don't think the 2/1 body is actually going to do us much good anyway. But I kind of like just playing Vermin, just having 3 creatures on board, so whatever gets burned off, we'll still have something to put counters on too. But they could just hold up their burn and kill whatever we target, I guess. So we target the rat, probably. Least valuable creature. Although I'm going to have a Titanic growth, because my mana will be untapped by the time I'm attempting to put counters on something, so might be able to 2-for-1 them. More like a 1-for-1. We trade Titanic Growth for the removal spell. But maybe get some extra damage in while we do that. Alright, Genealogist is really good here. 3/4 Redcap Thief, and they just send it in. Alright. I'll take the 3. Alright, because I have the Titanic Growth, I'm actually going to put the counters onto the not rats. I'll put them on the human. And they just don't have cheap burn in their hand this time, or else they definitely would have been trying to cast it at some point by now off these treasures. And Arena just isn't even stopping for them at all, so I think the Wicked roll is reasonable at this point as well. And we drop the roll. Don't really want a Titanic Growth here. I think I'd rather just get the Menace Dork down. We just tap out this turn, get extra damage in, so put the roll on the human. Drop a 2/3 Menace. Just get full damage in here. One land away from our own Glutton. Probably Glutton the rat off to buff the vermin. Do they have an Agatha's Champion? Be a little sad about not holding up the growth if we see Agatha's Champion again. I'll definitely add that to the notepad. Curse of the Werefox as well would be another reason, but in green-red they could just prioritize all the red burn rather than green fight spells. But growth's good against red burn too. Or just red removal as well. Picnic Ruiner, buff the squad. Oh, they dead? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus 4, 13. They're 1 damage from dead. One damage from dead to Titanic Growth. So if I had a way to crack the Wicked roll, this would be beautiful. But I think Hamlet Glutton's good enough. If they have the gain control of a creature till end of turn, they're going to win this game. But against pretty much any other card, I think Hamlet Glutton's going to win us the game here. Yeah, we can hit them down to literally 1 life if they don't block. If I growth instead of Glutton. Even if I hold a blocker back, if they have the treason effect to steal Glutton and hit me with it, I'm going to die, because like I block there, take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 6. Just on the Glutton and Prey line. Get some scry. I think I don't attack with the rat because I have a Titanic Growth. Meaning that just having a wider board state more guarantees lethal next turn off of Titanic Growth. So we go to 12 here. Puts me dead to removal, but it has to be removal that can kill a 6/6, which shouldn't be around in a green-red deck. I think they basically literally need the steal effect to win, essentially, here. They have to have exactly that uncommon to steal Hamlet Glutton and attack me with it. I suppose the only other card I can think of that would get there is Stone Splitter Bolt, because they could bargain away their roll to shoot the Glutton for 6, but then they wouldn't win because they had to bargain the roll away, so they'd put me down to 1 instead of 0. They'd attack for 11 instead of 12. Oh. Or they just have that incredible rare. That's so disappointing. Better Icy Manipulator strikes again. That was one of 2 cards that would have killed me there. That or the Act of Treason is all I can think of again. No red burn except Stone Splitter Bolt does enough to kill Glutton, and if they Stone Splittered, they'd have to sack the roll and hit for 11 instead of 12. Yeah, that was one of 2 cards in the entire set in red-green that kills me there. I guess if they had their own Titanic Growth, I'd go block and they Titanic Growth over somewhere. Alright, there's 3 cards that kill me. I feel like that was the right line, though. So they can't just, like, turtle up the next turn and not die. Oh, what a bummer. We're just running it back again, I believe. Still don't love Not Dead After All in here. Still do like the Titanic Growths quite a bit. We don't have much else in the sideboard. Shepherd looks bad here. They did not have, like, any 1 toughness cards. Alright. Take the on-the-play advantage and run with it here. And hopefully, Welcome to Sweet Tooth runs far away with this game. Into the Hamlet Glutton as well. Now we're going to have another food thanks to Candy Trail. Next turn we play Candy Trail, hold up Grapple, keep the trail on board for more counters. Unless they kill the human, then we just sack the trail, gain a life, draw a card. Gain 3 life, draw a card, but you get what I'm saying. Troublemaker, oof, no bargain. I think we take those. Ditch these. Take our 2. There's the Red Cap Thief. Don't feel I need to grapple that here. Save grapple for something better. Alright, we got the 4/4 human. We can draw the card, still hold up grapple. Ooh. Just might as well do that. Kill the 2/2 here. Not holding up grapple anymore, but clear out the mana value 2 creature. Get a Wicked roll in a few turns. Cut in on the 4/4. Yep. Still grapple the Red Cap Thief. We just have to bargain away the Witch's Vanity when it's going to sack itself anyway. So we want to put a stop in our upkeep in our main so that I can grapple cracking the Vanity. I think Arena will put a stop there for me anyway, but just to be real safe. I guess if the 6/6 just sticks around on board, we don't really need to kill their 3/4 Thief. We can just keep grapple for on blocks. We don't actually need the upkeep stop. We need the main phase stop. That's when the Saga triggers. And again, we might not need that for Arena to let me respond to its ability before it actually sacks the thing. Oh. Okay, if they do that, I don't want the stop on my main phase. Because now we're going to have to use Puny Snack or Grapple to help kill Hamlet Glutton later. Land swing. Pretty chill with me. Play a Genealogist, hit them for 1, sacking the Wicked roll. And have a Puny Snack and a Candy Grapple up. They're at 11 with no food on board. I like that life total. We're at 21 with a food. Potentially more food off the Gingerbread Hunter later. Red Cap Thief. I Red Tooth Genealogist. Buff the other thief to have multiple 3/4s, I guess. Pass the turn. Guess I could have grappled the thief, but again, I really like the grapple against Glutton. So we're just going to our turn. Find a land. Keep sending in a Glutton. Big. Okay. How much power is this total? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And I can give -7 to that. So I can make it 7, which still kills my thing, but I can pretty much clear out their board. So what all do I want to clear out here? Clear out the Hamlet, Glutton, clear out the 3/4s. So I can make this a 1/1. Puny snack that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. The board state is now Genealogist to Genealogist. We've got a Gingerbread Hunter, they've got question mark. Picnic Ruiner it is. Does ruin my day. Find the Growth could be lethal out of nowhere. Cracking in for 9, but I got a 5/5 blocker up. And a food. Come on, Titanic Growth. Haven't done me wrong yet. Get some rats. Get a chumper. They can only attack with Genealogist. On board. They might hold it back just to block Hunter, and they do. How much bargain do I have in this deck? I don't think I have other bargain. I've got another Candy Grapple. Yeah, I got some other ways to use this food. I've got a good amount of mana. We'll hold on here. Oh. Oh. Gingerbread's a 6/6 into attacks. This is only double strike on attacks, right? Oh my god. So we shatter on Genealogist. They double block to kill it, but I'd kill both their creatures. They can't block and kill Gingerbread. Top deck God strikes again. Top deck Champion over here. If they don't block, they're just dead. If they do block, they're just trumping and losing creatures. And they can trade in the Genealogist at the price of 2 cards. Cool. Chump with the trainee. Pass. Five, 4 Menace. Ooh, baby. Alright, hold up 1 blocker, they're dead. They're gonna block trade into Hunter and we kill them with Growth. We're groovy. Wow, and now we even just get them with Werefox. Booda-boom. Booda-boom. Okay. Incredible draws near the end of that game. Loving our combat tricks today. Finds us a victory in the end. So, we did see Picnic Ruiner. Did we see Picnic Ruiner game 1? Actually, game 1 might have ended too quickly that we didn't see it. I don't remember. We saw it game 2, though, for sure. So maybe considering that as a possibility, I was probably potentially playing too aggressively with Glutton. With the Candy Grapple and Puny Snack in hand, I could have just kept those and tried to hold them as a way to just completely ruin the Stolen Goodies adventure if they ever drew into that. Might have been a bit aggressive to just go for the full board clear of each player losing the whole board there, because that almost ended really poorly for me because they did have the card advantage after the full board clear. So I probably should have done the combat math on blockers a little more and then played more defensively from there. Just sat here and waited a little bit. Panned out pretty well for us in the end, but I don't think it was the right play in hindsight, so a little bit better thinking there on the number of blockers they had, their ability to go for just a full board block, stuff like that. Something I should have kept track of. 2-1 though. So our only match loss so far is the match where we were just very, very outclassed in card quality. I don't think we could have done much there, so definitely some minor misplays in our other 2 rounds, but at least we still find the victories there so it doesn't stack into a loss. And now we're heading into our final battle, and it's a big one. Win or lose is going to be the difference between getting to play Day 2 Draft number 2 with the cash prizes on the line, or just stopping here at 1 Day 2 Draft. So I'll play my best and cross my fingers for a good matchup to finish the day off, but without further ado, let's head into the final battle. And here we are for the final battle of the Arena Open Day 2 Draft number 1, the deciding game, the deciding round to see if we make it into Draft 2. With Lookout in hand, I'm a little interested in candy trailing, trying to set up into roll tokens rather than getting aggressive with Tabby here. Could be wrong to do so. Maybe I just Tabby one and then just get the Scry off the trail, not necessarily the card draw turn 2. That should still be a decent way to set up draws a little bit. Let's get the Tabby down. We are on the play. Let's try to take advantage. They are on red, so probably pretty aggressive. There's the Ginger Brute. Poke in for the 1 here. Could trade Tabby off. I think that'd be reasonable. But on the play, I'd like to try to push the aggressive lead. I do have a 5-drop in hand. A little tempting to hold on to these, but multiple 3-drops to play if I'm stuck on lands for a little while. We've got card draw between Lookout and Candy Trail. Definitely Candy Trail, maybe Lookout. I'm gonna get a bit greedy and just scry the lands to the bottom. They are red-white. Alright, well now I wish I traded with Ginger Brute. I think red-white is the best color pair at creating young hero rolls, which is where the Ginger Brute gets really gross. Yeah, and a turn 2 Shrouded Shepherd, incredibly aggro stuff. Drawn to a Hopeless Nightmare, which isn't great. No rolls for the Lookout to draw cards off of, so I might just go Vermin first, even though it's lower toughness in terms of being like a good blocker here. Alright, in future games this round, I think I really need to just go for the Ginger Brute trades immediately turn 1. The Ginger Brute and a Shepherd curve in a red-white deck already has me feeling like we are the defensive in this matchup, for sure. Just take any early trades we can get to prolong the game. Cheeky House Mouse on the Ginger Brute. Sure. Trade a 2-1 off. To the 2-2 here. Feels like I kind of got to. Prevent some damage. See if they have more cheap adventures. Minecart Daredevils Ride the Rail or something. Monstrous Rage, premium uncommon, that's gross. Alright. Pretty magical curve from opponent game 1. That curves out perfectly with the House Mouse as well. Good lord. Now they just have a 3-3 I can't deal with. Guess I could hold up Death Touch, but then I don't get to play my 2/3 this turn. So, Monstrous Rage. It's the instant to worry about here so far. Ooh, get rid of a Woodland Acolyte, so we get rid of some card draw from our opponent, but that means they must believe that they have great aggression, which is quite likely the case. Land, 2 cards in hand. They just have a cut-in for Lookout. We're super dead. Definitely just like another trick here, but see how bad it is for me. Oh. Well, no shot then. No shot. Good grief. Alright, we could have played this out better trading into Gingerbrute turn 1, but doesn't feel super winnable. I mean, if it's just land now, then we're fine, but it's not, because they discarded an Acolyte for one of these cards. Just removal and we die. Not only is it removal, it is an incredible bomb rare removal spell. That's removal plus a 2-mana 3/1 off of 1 card. It's a modern day Bone Crusher Giant. Okay. Well, this is as uphill of a battle as we've had since the Gruff Triplets matchup. This feels just as bad for us. Maybe even worse, because they're the aggro deck here and they still have the premium bomb rare card quality off of removal spell plus 2-mana 3/1 dork, the Heart Flame thing. Yikes. Okay. Well, it certainly could have played game 1 out better and maybe gotten 1 more turn, but there's definitely no shot at stabilizing there. Play a couple Shrouded Shepherds to get rid of Rats, Cheeky House Mouse, Gingerbrutes. Then we drop in the Prism, ideally. So these aren't just sorceries. They are occasionally creatures. And what do we cut out for it? Not Dead After All. It's a little slow. Nightmare just hits them, which I don't really want to do. Actually really don't like the 1 toughness on Vermin. I do like our 3-mana 2/3s a lot, and we've got plenty of those even if I cut the Vermin. Two more cards to cut. Definitely keeping Puny Snack in here and Glutton at the top end. Coven, still a 2/3 on blocks, also gets rid of maybe their last card by the time I play it. Not loving the Witch for its lower toughness. For high toughness cheap cards, but maybe even just cut the tabbies at that point as 1/1s and just run a bunch of 2/2s and 2/3s. But these just to trade into Gingerbrutes seem fine too. Guess I'll split the difference, drop 1 growth, 1 tabby. Almost feels like I'm going to have to just tap out for creatures mostly and not be able to hold up growths for the most part. Yeah, like 1 for 1 there. Maybe in the end, cutting both growths would be fine. This is the kind of matchup that I was the most worried about when building this deck with our lack of early game. I am very scared here. Shrouded Shepherd looking premium. Get a little greedy with it here. Still hold off for a second. Only taking 2 damage if they just spend a burn spell on Genealogist. They don't have the mana to cut in yet, where they'd kill the Genealogist and buff the other creature. Poke for 1 it is. And just pass. Let's see if Arena holds. Oh, they have a Gingerbrute. It's always going to hold. We saw Monstrous Rage and a Gnawing Crescendo. We didn't see Torch the Tower from them yet, but they're likely to have a copy or two. We saw the 3 mana, 3 damage burn adventure. They don't have the mana up for that. So we didn't see anything that could really get us for casting the Price of Beauty here, but they could still have something that would really get us for casting it. I'm going to take the risk here. We'll find out if they've got Torch the Towers in their deck. Which actually wouldn't be the complete end of the world, because they'd at least have to sacrifice a real card to do that. They'd have to sack Gingerbrute here. Since they don't have any tokens to bargain away for the Torch the Tower. Alright, they hit the white source. We've got a 3-4 and a 2-3 blocking everybody but Gingerbrute. Next turn, probably Cleave Shadows, Puny Snack, the turn. And then try to go real stable from then on by dropping a Gingerbread Hunter, getting a food, having a pretty big board. Twin Veil Guide? Alright. Yeah, Puny Snack plus Cleave Shadows is going to be gross. Get that stuff out of here. Charmed Clothier, pretty good. Buff the rat, get a 3/3 flyer for a new board. We've got a grapple to just 1-for-1 kill that if we need. It's a free rat attack, I don't know why they wouldn't. There they go. Hamlet Glutton? Actually didn't draw my second forest yet. That's real awkward. Alright, we've got free attacks here because I can't block flyers anyway. And then we drop a Gingerbread Hunter. Don't have the mana up to eat the food, but we're at 14, so that should be fine. Top deck a forest, and we have the mana to play Glutton and hold up Grapple, which will be beautiful. We wouldn't have the mana to do that if I top deck a forest, but I hadn't played my Swamp this turn, so definitely not holding lands right now. They're also red-white, so it's not like we're holding against any discard spells. Tattered Ratter. Sure. Threatening a 4 damage attack in with this rat without tricks. They could Monstrous Rage into killing the Gingerbread Hunter, but they'd still lose the rat. Crescendo would also still lose the rat. Oh, they can House Mouse and then I can't block. That works too. Down to 8. They're going to have 2 blockers up here at 10 life. Have exact lethal, not through a glass casket. There goes Genealogist. Growth is lethal. Titanic Growth MVP. Yeah, you take lethal on board when you have it. They're tapped out. We move on to game 3. At least gave it a huge fighting chance here, no matter what happens game 3. Going to 3 games in the final round. Okay. Any swaps here? Being on the draw? I think everything looks good in this matchup in its own right. We just run it back, hope for the best. I could muddy up the mana base a little bit to make it more likely to cast the Shepherds later, but I think they are strong enough just to cleave most of the time. In this matchup, at least. Alright. Oh my god. Oh, Swamp wins so hard here. We have a Witch Stalker no matter what. We have 9 Swamps in this deck. 9 Swamps and a Prism. 10 cards out of the 33 left. It's like 1 out of 3 and we have 3 draw steps to get there. Statistically speaking, not an unreasonable keep when you look at it that way. I mean, this... Straight up, this hand basically always wins if we find a swamp and always loses if we don't. I think we have a lot of hands we can draw into in this deck that just get steamrolled. So this is taking all of our risk up front instead of taking the risk by clicking the mulligan button and just seeing what can happen. I feel like it's pretty equal risk to keep our mulligan here. Because we have so many hands that are going to be so much later game than this with our slower curve. I'm just going to take the risk up front and just, if we hit a swamp, we probably win. If we don't, we probably lose. I'm just going to take my risk up front. Take it in the draw steps here. Oh, baby. Now I'm going to die for just saying it that way and being that cocky of saying if I hit a swamp, I win. Doesn't mean I 100% win if I hit a swamp, but it does mean that this is just one of the best hands we can possibly draw in this matchup if I hit a swamp, which that is definitely true. Oh, things are going solid here. Let's get a vanity and a food, clearing out the ratter. Nothing to put a wicked roll onto unless I play a creature next turn. But I can definitely have the option to do that. I can play a Witch Stalker or a Minstrosity next turn. We've got 2 puny snacks if they end up putting any rolls onto the Ginger Brute. We can still kill that, so we'll kill the higher power creature up front. It's a Woodland Acolyte for value. Okay, let's get a creature down to get a wicked roll onto something if they don't have removal here, and let's play the better blocker. Haven't seen a ton of removal from our opponent. I don't think we've seen one removal spell, but we've seen lots of combat tricks like Monstrous Rage and Gnawing Crescendo. Another Ginger Brute to get in. If we draw into a -1/-1 to everybody, that'll be huge this game. But even the amount of life gain we have here is massive. We've got food, glutton. Big stuff. This is Monstrous Rage. +3, +1 trample. But then even if I don't block here, we get got pretty hard by Monstrous Rage, right? Because they just use it on a Ginger Brute. Yeah, this is Monstrous Rage. Don't get the wicked roll on anybody. Next turn I only have the mana to do one thing, so I just puny snack somebody. That's still big. And then I have a 3/4 Witch Stalker against the Acolyte, even if it becomes a 3/3. Yeah, I think I wait. Let them Monstrous Rage a Ginger Brute. They just don't Monstrous Rage. We still got to play around that. Okay, I've got my 3/4 now. I can puny snack one of the dorks, or play a Minstrosity and eat a food. Might actually be higher on play Minstrosity, eat a food. Yeah, let's eat a food here and next turn Hamlet Glutton. If last turn attack was a bluff from them, it was a very good bluff. In that I didn't block. I guess if I decided the block would have been a really bad bluff, if it was. But I feel like they have Monstrous Rage in hand, in which case Minstrosity blocking Acolyte is solid, because it only gets +1 toughness, even if it gets more power and trample. So it could end up trading into Witch Stalker, but it couldn't not trade into Minstrosity. Alright, unblockable Ginger Brute. Where are the cleave shadows at, though? Unblockable Gingerbrute. 3 mana up for a non-crescendo. Hit for 6, and Acolyte turns into a rat. No attacks with Acolyte because we have a good Monstrosity block on it through a Monstrous Rage. Is that what's going on here? Might be. Might be. It is. Alright. Take 2. We eat the food. Oh, Lord Almighty. I can glutton or I can just cleave it up. I think I cleave it up here and they might try to... I think that I cleave it up here because they might try to Monstrous Rage one of their Gingerbrutes to save it, and then I can still kill it through a Puny Snack by doing this. Oh, yeah. Alright. So they didn't bluff the Monstrous Rage, they genuinely had it. Now they're down to a 2-2. And we have a 3-4 blocker. They don't even have a Monstrous Rage to make it a great trade there. Might have a Crescendo to make it a trade. Clothier still doesn't get through Witchstalker. Monstrosity keeps swinging in. Yeah. I mean, if I glutton myself up to 17 life here, I might even attack with Witchstalker to set in 2 3-power creatures. I feel like we are that stable at this point in the game. We do that. We get aggressive. Attack with 2 3-power creatures here. We're like going to be really far ahead in cards after we drop this Gingerbread Hunter, plus with this other Puny Snack in hand. And the life total, like we're going to be so defended by multiple food tokens coming up. I was really shooketh in game 1, but now that you think of it, these Gingerbread Hunters, because they have so many 2 toughness and less creatures, are very comparable in power level to their rare that shoots something that makes a 3-1. But they're a lot more expensive mana-wise. But it is going to clear out almost any of their creatures and then give us a very important body on the board. There's Moments of Valor for our 6/6. 2 cards up. They can hit for 6, put us to 11, but then we crack back for a lot. 6. Come on, top deck land, top deck land, top deck land. Boom, baby. We can play a Gingerbread Hunter and eat a food to be safe on blocks. Through a non-crescendo. Non-crescendo hits us for 10, but we're going to be at 14. And that's if they also get through Gingerbread Hunter. We're, of course, hitting them for 6 here. They got to torch the tower? They do have one in their deck. Alright, so kill the Witchstalker. That's fair. Mitigates the Acolyte. It's down to a 2-2 instead of a 3-3 now. They do get to scry 1, though. Scry to the top. Hate to see that. That makes me very sketched out. If they have a fealty, I'm going to have an aneurysm. The steal a creature, put a wicked roll on the board. Be an attack for 11, but I have a food. Alright, Shrouded Shepherd. So they hit for 5 this turn. If they're considering buffing the Acolyte, they definitely have another trick. So they have Gnawing Crescendo to trade up into Hunter and get a rat. Sure. And they're not going to. Is it a post-combat burn spell then? The 3 damage for the Gingerbread Hunter? That is chill too. Alright. I know I have some bargain cards, but I think against red-white it's important to eat this. Okay. Mana is actually good here. Put them to 4, which is dead to 1 swing of our 5/5. Top deck war, but we're at a higher life total with a slightly better board. Don't destroy me now, RNGesus. We're so close to day 2, draft 2. Genealogist? Doesn't actually make our attacks any better. They already have to double block to kill Gingerbread Hunter, and Monstrosity only needs a single block either way. Guess we at least hit them harder if they choose to double block and kill Gingerbread Hunter. Oh, this just makes it so they can't double block Gingerbread Hunter or they're dead on board. What am I talking about? Snap, Genealogist actually great here. Yeah, they're forced into trade and chump. Oh, let's go. Final draw step for our opponent. We've got 2 food tokens to be at a really high life total. Three and 1 it is, baby. We are making it into day 2, draft number 2. We get to draft Wilds of Eldraine best of 3 2 times during this day 2 event for very competitive gameplay with very high stakes. That is phenomenal. You love to see it. Whatever happens day 2, draft 2, I'm just happy to have made it there. It's always fun to play at the high competitive levels. Always super stressful, super swingy games, super nail-biting stuff, anxiety-inducing stuff to play a high-stakes event like this, but that is that roller coaster style adrenaline you don't get too much playing a strategy card game like Magic the Gathering, so it is still pretty cool, pretty fun to play the very competitive events like this, and I hope you have all enjoyed the draft and the gameplay as well and got some enjoyment out of the high stakes, the stress-induced stuff there too. So no matter what, we're getting 5,000 gems back now, which is pretty huge. That means I'd only be down 5,000 gems. If I can get 1 round win, then we are up in gems after playing the Arena Open Day 1 3 times. So that would be phenomenal if we can win at least 1 round. But again, no matter what happens, just being able to draft again is super fun, and all it takes is 2 match wins to start getting cash prizes out of the event. So big, high stakes, crazy stuff coming for day 2, draft number 2, but overall very happy with how draft 1 went. Again, the only round that we lost was against that Gruff Triplets deck. I think that I definitely played it pretty loose overall. There was a game I think I probably should have mulliganed to have a better chance, but they hit us with the turn 6 Gruff Triplets, where I don't think basically any of our hands could have won that game anyway. And game 2, maybe if we had found more aggressive lines and pressured them more early, we could have damaged them enough so that by the time they drew the Gruff Triplets, it wouldn't be enough to stabilize. So there's some stuff there that maybe could have gone a little differently, but I still think it would have been really, really unlikely to be able to find a way to pull things around and get a victory in that round. So pretty happy with how the deck played out. A 3-1 record off of just a pretty solid, pretty average green-black deck. So excellent, excellent stuff today, but that's going to do it for the Arena Open Day 1, Draft number 1. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing some more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.